Summer is winding down, so we know you're looking for things to do with the kids. You still have time to see the new exhibit at the LBJ Presidential Library. Before Peter Benchley wrote the iconic movie Jaws, he was President Johnson's speechwriter. And his journey from White House to novelist to conservationist is on display now through October 19th. There, you'll learn all about the shared environmental legacy of the Johnsons and Benchley, the cultural tidal wave sparked by Jaws, and how the story that terrified moviegoers also reshaped our understanding of sharks. So head on over to lbjlibrary.org today to plan your visit. Something fishy has been going on at the Austin Aquarium for years. It just got slapped with another federal warning after their lemurs hurt some of the customers. And still, the city has not banned interactions with wild animals. Today on CityCast Austin, we're getting into what has been happening at this facility. It's Tuesday, August 12th. I'm Nikki Devon, and this is what Austin's talking about. Hello, I am here today with Rebecca Smudzinski, Associate Director of Captive Wildlife with the PETA Foundation. So, okay, things are a little crazy right now with the Austin Aquarium. Some people in Austin actually might be surprised to hear that we even have an aquarium. Off the top, how would you describe the Austin Aquarium for those who aren't aware of it and don't know that we have one?
Well, the Austin Aquarium is a roadside petting zoo owned by the notorious Covino family, whose business model relies on forcing wild animals to endure invasive public handling that only results in constant stress to the animals and injuries to customers. The conditions at the facility are completely inadequate for the animals that they house. For instance, they keep naturally social animals like capybaras and macaws in solitary confinement, and this can lead to psychological distress. They confine fish in crowded conditions in tiny tanks, which can lead to health issues, aggression, and competition. And it forces nocturnal animals like sloths and wallabies to interact with customers during the day, which is stressful to them and disrupts their natural sleep cycles. And then all of these animals are confined inside a strip mall and never see the light of day.
Ooh, ouch. Okay, so now, and just a note here for everyone listening, we did reach out to the aquarium for this interview, but we did not hear back. So recently, the aquarium received a warning from the U.S. Department of Agriculture for some interactions with animals that really did not go well in 2022 and 2023. What are they specifically in trouble for? What happened?
Austin Aquarium actually has a long history of USDA citations. They were cited before for housing an 8-week-old lemur in a tiny crate. They failed to alert a veterinarian to an otter's apparent mental distress. They kept a capybara in an unsanitary enclosure and a feces-laden pool. And they failed to consult a veterinarian about a kangaroo's ear problems. And then on top of these citations, the Austin Aquarium continues to send unsuspecting visitors into cages with dangerous animals, which has resulted in injuries to customers. USDA's latest official warning shows that once again, Austin Aquarium is chronically endangering animals and the public by encouraging people to touch stressed animals who have no choice in the matter. When wild animals are forced to endure these conditions, they will often defend themselves by lashing out. So like you said, the aquarium received its first official warning after 2 children were bitten and injured during encounters in 2022. And then in 2023, you might have seen in the media, a lemur jumped on a woman's shoulders, bit her on the face, and scratched her lip. These attacks were also included in the second official warning, along with the facility's failure to protect otters from having random items put into their feeding tubes by the public, which the otters could choke on or be poisoned by.
Why is it taking so long for these issues to be investigated? I mean, this is not the first time we're hearing about wild animals just being like, I'm uncomfortable, don't touch me, I shouldn't be here. You know what I mean? Let me scratch you across the face. Like, I mean, I do that as a human. Don't touch me, I'm uncomfortable. You know what I mean? It's just like, there should be standards, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, well, absolutely. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Public contact with wild animals is inherently dangerous. I mean, human handling is a significant stressor, and public contact is particularly stressful because it forces these animals into interactions with unfamiliar individuals. It causes them to feel unsafe. People tend to think that captivity and training might change something, But captivity and training do not take away a wild animal's potential to inflict harm. And then on top of that, while the risks associated with public contact with wild animals is inextinguishable, those risks are also amplified at facilities like the Austin Aquarium and similar Covino run facilities. I mean, these places, the staff have minimal experience or training, and there are limited, if any, safety policies in place.
This isn't the first time there have been reported concerns about the aquarium. So, let's take us back all the way back to 2013. Moncovino and his son built out the aquarium in a former, lax store in a strip mall. When I think about aquarium, I think about fish only. I think about fish. And so the first thing I thought when I heard that there was going to be this aquarium in a strip mall, I was like, how is that going to work? How are they going to trick out at a former lax furniture store to be sufficient enough to call it an aquarium? So at that point, though, Covino was court ordered to not work with wildlife. Specifically, he couldn't be involved in employment that involved, and I'm putting this in quotes, the possession, display, transportation, exhibition, purchase, or sale of wildlife. This is at the beginning. They told him he could not do this. Why is that? What had Covino done that he wasn't allowed to do this?
Well, so in November 2012, Ammon Covino and his partner in crime, Chris Conk, they were indicted on federal crimes related to illegally transporting, harvesting, and purchasing lemon sharks and stingrays. And then in September of 2013, the two of them both pleaded guilty to these criminal charges. Covino was then sentenced to 12 months and 1 day in prison, followed by 2 years of probation that prohibited his involvement with exhibiting wildlife.
He went to prison?
Yes, he went to prison. And then he got out, was on probation, and then he went back to prison twice for violating the conditions of his probation by working at the Austin, San Antonio, and Sequest aquariums.
Oh my God. Okay. I don't understand people that go to jail for something and then come out of jail and do the same thing again.
Exactly.
That doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
I mean, it sounds like he's been doing this for a while.
Yeah, they have a horrible history. So there's two of them. There's the Covino brothers. There's Ammon and then his brother Vince. And before all these facilities, they actually owned the Portland Aquarium in Oregon. And that facility actually closed down in 2016. And there, over 200 marine animals reportedly died in a 3-month period at the facility.
Shit.
The causes of death were reported as starvation, getting caught in a drain screen, being ripped apart, being attacked by other animals, and more. And then for a while, under Ammon's leadership at the Idaho Aquarium, an Alaskan puffin died in part because Ammon had illegally acquired the animal, and he should have known that the facility lacked the requisite experience to care for the animal. So this history, their experience goes way back.
Hey y'all, it's Nikki. Not many of you know this about me, but The Wizard of Oz is one of my all-time favorite movies. I've seen it an embarrassing amount of times. And y'all already know how much I love Austin. So imagine my surprise when I saw that Zach Theater is putting the two together for an Austin twist on this iconic classic based on the book by L. Frank Baum. So get tickets now to see The Wizard of Oz like never before at Zach Theater. This show features a Dust Bowl era cowboy band, a glittering mirror ball experience, and lots of surprises along the yellow brick road. Y'all, it is the perfect play for families, longtime fans like me, and newcomers that reminds us that there's truly no place like home. It's on stage from August 13th to September 21st. So meet me somewhere over the rainbow. Go to zachtheater.org for your tickets today. That's zachtheater.org. Step into the conversation shaping Texas's future at the Texas Tribune Festival. The Texas Tribune is bringing together inspiring thinkers, leaders, and innovators to discuss the issues that matter to you. Dive into unforgettable conversations spanning education, the economy, healthcare, energy, technology, public safety, culture, the arts, and more. TribFest gives you an up-close look at how big ideas take shape and how they affect your life. You'll connect with fellow Texans, engage directly with experts and leaders, and leave inspired to turn your boldest ideas into reality. And y'all, this isn't just another political event. It's a catalyst for shaping the future of Texas today. So mark your calendar, November 13th through 15th in downtown Austin. Get info and tickets at tribfest.org. I want to backtrack here because, okay, so he comes into town, decides he's going to open this aquarium in a lax furniture store. So I'm imagining because he was ordered to not work with wildlife, there has to be some sort of facility or like who oversees these types of facilities. Like surely you have to have some sort of license and like a department or an agency that oversees these licenses.
Yeah, so they do have a USDA license, but this is kind of the very frustrating part. So as a convicted wildlife trafficker, Covino can't legally obtain an Animal Welfare Act license, which is required to exhibit animals. So the Austin Aquarium was originally denied a license by the USDA because of his involvement. But then the license was granted after his wife, Crystal, was substituted for him on all the business paperwork.
Okay. Back up. So you said the USDA as in the people that the stamps I see on our meat, USDA are the same people that regulate wildlife care?
Yes. So there's different divisions, but the USDA, they are tasked with ensuring the humane care and treatment of animals used for exhibition. And this is under the Animal Welfare Act, the Federal Animal Welfare Act. So it's their responsibility to take action when exhibitors violate the act. So they can issue things like citations, official warnings, they can impose penalties, suspend or revoke licenses, and they can even confiscate animals. However, the challenging part is that the USDA uses very vague and minimal regulations to monitor the welfare of vastly different species. And they also don't regulate animals such as reptiles and fish. So a large portion of the animals at these aquariums aren't even regulated by the USDA.
What?
Yes, it's incredibly frustrating.
Why? Why?
It is baffling. And they started off just regulating warm-blooded animals, specifically just mammals. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago that they finally started regulating birds. So it's just been an extremely frustrating process.
Rebecca, this is wild. It's like they have created in their mind some sort of hierarchy for animals and those closest to humans. This is blowing my mind, Rebecca.
Yes.
Wait, what did you call it? What did you just say?
Speciesism. So like, wanting to give a certain species, preferential treatments versus another species.
And I guess we all do that. Not we all, but like, like just like there are certain species we eat and certain species we don't. Ooh, you're really blowing my mind. Okay, so here we are. The Austin Aquarium opens anyway. And then in 2019, the aquarium was sued after, you mentioned this, a lemur bit a child. And in 2023, there was another lawsuit filed after a woman was attacked again by a lemur. And so I'm going to ask you something that is going to seem silly, but like it kind of plays back into this idea that I think as humans, we get confused that we think animals that are small are more controllable and more amenable to control. So are lemur interactions with humans safe? Are they allowed in other places?
They're not safe because they're wild animals. So they're going to, attempt to express natural behaviors. They're going to show preferential treatment for different things. They're going to get stressed and frustrated. I mean, the problem is the conditions are completely inadequate, which causes additional stress to these animals. And just in general, lemurs or any wild animal, they don't want to be pet, poked, or prodded by humans. So subjecting them to these conditions, which includes irregular sleep, mishandling, loud noises, crowds of strangers, just for public encounters, puts the animals and public in danger of getting injured.
I'm really glad that we're having this conversation, and this is going to sound like a non sequitur, but like just outside of Austin, there is a ranch that allows you to swim with otters. So like you get into a little pool and then the otters pop in and they swim around you and all that good stuff. And listen, like I love otters. I feel like they might be the cutest things on the planet. Genuinely. I look at videos of them all day. But the thing that stops me from going and traveling
Good.
is just this question of, where did these otters come from? Why are they there? Are they okay? What am I participating in?
Mhm.
Just like, I don't have enough knowledge about what these otters' lives are like, or like how they got there. Surely they should be in a river somewhere. Like, right, it's kind of
Absolutely.
where my head is, right? So
Right.
this is how I feel kind of like about these roadside zoos and about even aquariums. How are they getting these animals?
They get these animals from a variety of places. Sometimes they are illegally wildlife trafficked, which is what Am and Cavino has a history of doing. Sometimes they're taken from the wild. A lot of times they're bred in other roadside zoos and then bought and sold. There's a lot of wild animal auctions. And so these animals get shipped around and then they prey on people that care about animals. Of course, everyone, people love sloths, people love otters, and they prey on animals and mislead them. The thing is, there are better places to go. And the thing is to look into the roadside zoos, look into the facility you might be interested, find out if they're an accredited facility. So there are GFAS accredited sanctuaries, so the Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries, and there's AZA accredited zoos, so the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. And they follow much higher standards than what the USDA affords under the Animal Welfare Act. The Animal Welfare Act is just minimal. The regulations are very minimal. So these accredited facilities follow higher standards of care. So look for those types of facilities if you're looking to go somewhere.
Right.
You don't have to go see them in captivity. You can go visit nature centers. You can go to parks. You can go to botanical gardens. You can even take a hike, on a local trail. I mean, these are all great ways to spot animals in their native habitat and observe their normal natural behaviors.
Just off the Texas coast sits a unique beach town marked with salty vibes and sun-soaked memories. Port Aransas is a place where family traditions unfold naturally, and beauty lies both in island views and the unhurried moments between adventures. It's a place where multiple generations can get together under one roof to share slow beachfront mornings and cool Gulf breeze evenings. An island escape with 18 miles of shoreline to cast your line, kayak with the kids, or simply cruise the coast in a golf cart. One visit, and you'll see why generations of Texans have anchored their traditions to the island life. Start your new favorite family tradition in Port Aransas, Texas. Go to visitportaransas.com and plan your visit to Austin's beach. Saturday morning is my favorite day of the week. It's the day I get to sleep in and lounge. And let me tell you, since I've gotten the Cozy Earth sheets, relaxing has become one of my favorite pastimes. Now, I've talked a lot about how the temperature regulating sheets guarantee you a comfortable night's sleep, but they're also great for summer mornings when you're just not quite ready to get out of bed and face the hot day. Now, of course, I have to mention you can grab some sheets risk-free with the Cozy Earth 100-night sleep trial. And if you try them and you don't love them, you can return them hassle-free. But I don't think you're going to want to. So head to CozyEarth.com, use my code CozyAustin for 40% off. And if you get a post-purchase survey, make sure you let them know you heard about Cozy Earth right here. Because your bed should be more than a place to sleep. It should be your happy place. Cozy Earth makes that possible. So we're going back to the Austin Aquarium. We're back to our timeline. So 2022, a slew of incidents that become public really anger Austinites. A UT student started a change.org petition to shut the aquarium down and got thousands of signatures. Then the Animal Advisory Commission created a working group to look into aquariums. What was PETA's involvement with the aquarium at this point in 2022?
Well, the Austin Animal Advisory Commission is tasked with advising the Austin City Council on a variety of issues related to animal welfare within the city, including making recommendations on changes to the city code. We had a 2022 investigation at the Austin Aquarium, And that revealed animals routinely bit and injured staff and customers, which highlighted the public safety concerns with direct contact with wild animals. And this is what stirred the Animal Advisory Commission to act. So they had come up with a proposed ban, which PETA had publicly supported and worked with them on, that would prohibit public interactions with any wild animals at for-profit zoos and aquariums like the Austin Aquarium. But the proposed ban was dropped, and this was despite Austin residents speaking up in support of it.
PETA representatives actually worked undercover at the aquarium, right?
Yes.
So I'm curious about this. What did y'all find?
Well, a lot of issues. They revealed that the Austin Aquarium denied reptiles needed veterinary care. And this included a suffering iguana named Igor, who was abandoned in a cage in an alley with no shelter, even in a thunderstorm. He died there because the facility wouldn't pay for euthanasia to end his suffering. Then another iguana with a suspected broken leg that was left to suffer without appropriate treatment. Rats were crushed to death with cinder blocks. Lizards were left to starve. Snakes were just released in the building. Customers were regularly bitten by wild animals.
I mean, my God.
Yeah, it's endless.
Austin City Council, like you said, they never adopted the recommendation. They never adopted the ban, and the changes never made it into the city code. So Ann Linder is a member of the advisory commission who was also on the working group, sent us an email. She said, quote, "We put a tremendous amount of work and thought into putting forth a recommendation that was intended to help keep these kinds of incidents from happening again. This was narrowly tailored, common sense solution that would have prevented people from getting hurt. We did have several folks on the city council express support for this recommendation at the time. So her hope is that this is something that they can look into and the city will fix going forward to make sure both people and animals are safe." I'm suspicious about why city council didn't adopt the recommendation. So are these aquariums, do they have a history of being litigious? Are they like, if you mess with us, we'll sue you? Is any of that going on? Because typically, I don't understand why the city wouldn't just take the recommendation, I guess.
No, and that's a great question. I mean, we have the same question. We don't know of any particular incidents or, what they might be doing behind the scenes with the city council. We're not familiar with any of that, but they should adopt this policy, and they still can. There's no reason that they can't bring this public ban on what, public contact with wild animals. They can start this at any time. So we hope this is going to help restart this and get this ban in place before more people get injured.
We also asked Ann Linder if the AAC would be looking into the aquarium again now after the warning. And she says, quote, "We respond to the input from the community, and certainly there are a lot of folks who are upset by this, and rightly so. One thing that might surprise a lot of people to know is that the USDA doesn't give out too many of these warnings. Generally speaking, they do so only for really egregious violations. So even though a warning might not sound bad, as someone who works in this field, that's a very concerning to think that violations at this facility have risen to the level that they are attracting attention from a federal agency."
Yeah, the facility has been warned twice now for these violations. While the official warnings are a step in the right direction, the USDA can and should revoke Austin Aquarium's license before more people get injured. But the agency has a history of lax enforcement. So, the animals can't wait for the USDA to do the right thing, which is why we urge the public to help by never buying a ticket to the Austin Aquarium. The Austin Aquarium remains a public safety threat. And since these dangerous encounters are part of the greedy aquarium's business model, so the problem is only going to continue unless these encounters are banned. I mean, PETA would love to see the city of Austin be a leader in animal welfare by enacting a ban on public contact with wild animals at unaccredited facilities.
Yeah.
It could make such a difference for the animals and for the public.
It seems like a no-brainer, honestly. So just in case people are listening that travel, inside of Texas, the Austin Aquarium folks also operate aquariums in Houston and San Antonio. And recently, a giant octopus harmed a child. Did you know anything about this, or do you know anything about these other facilities?
Yeah, no, the Confino family, runs the San Antonio Aquarium and the Houston Interactive Aquarium and Animal Preserve. And they've all been on our radar. They all have similar appalling histories of animal welfare and public safety issues. They've both been cited for USDA citations. For instance, at the Houston facility, they were cited for feeding a young giraffe a diet that led to a life-threatening neurological condition. And they left a lemur in an unheated outdoor enclosure in freezing temperatures. And
Wow.
then at the San Antonio Aquarium, the USDA found that half of the lemurs had bitten or scratched members of the public. And then, like you said, most recently, we learned about the octopus who had reportedly latched onto a child's arm and wouldn't let go.
That sounds terrifying. I wouldn't want my child around that. I'm really curious because lemurs keep coming up. Lemurs keep coming up. It feels as if what experience is telling us is that lemurs are just not an animal that you should be putting around humans. Like, I looked up a photo of a lemur, and this looks like a tiny wild animal. This does not look like an animal that I want to put my hands on. I don't know what is happening. This animal looks like they will mess you up. Do you think that it's a money thing? Like, are the animals that we're seeing, is it because they're just cheaper to get? Even though we know lemurs have a history of being very clear about their boundaries. You know?
They are very clear, and it should be obvious, but they just go for animals that people want to touch or pet. They can get animals for a variety of places, but all these animals, they're wild animals who they don't want to be poked or prodded by humans. So they're dangerous no matter what. As I said, captivity and training, they don't take away a wild animal's potential to inflict harm. And these incidents are just going to keep happening. It's not a matter of if someone's going to get injured at the Austin Aquarium or the other Covino aquariums. It's a matter of when.
Before we go, you've already said try to stick to accredited places like parks and stuff like that. Is there any way that Austinites can just get involved?
But yeah, you could definitely go, contact your city council members, reach out to the commission, encourage them to restart, enact this ban that can prevent public contact with wild animals. And then for other things to do, like I said, there's lots of ways for kids to learn about animals. They don't have to see them in captivity. I mean, interactive aquariums like the Austin Aquarium, they teach kids all the wrong lessons about how we should treat animals. I mean, it teaches children that it's okay to force an animal to entertain us and to disregard others' clear signals that they want space or don't want to be touched. It leads kids to believe that it's acceptable to bully those who are weaker than us. I mean, there's so many other ways to learn about animals. PETA.org also has links to live animal cams that are set up in parks and preserves around the world. And this is a great way to learn and see animals in places that we might not be able to visit in person. You can go to PETAkids.com or PETA.org/teachkind. And there's resources for parents, for kids, and for educators on things like humane field trips, on places to visit that are humane for animals. So that we have lots of resources to help you experience animals, learn about animals without participating in animal exploitation.
Well, that's it. Thank you. That's perfect. That's a perfect end to this interview. So, thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Nikki. Thanks for having us on and talking about this.
Okay, y'all, I'm going to ask for my favorite again. Now, you may know the CityCast is doing our annual listener survey, and it would really help your girl out if you took it. It's only 7 minutes. That's the time of 2 of your favorite songs, right? So put on 2 of your favorite jams, and while you grooving and shaking your butt, take our survey. Go to citycast.fm/survey. And if you take it, you'll be eligible to win a $250 Visa gift card and some CityCast Austin swag. Again, that's citycast.fm/survey. And, even if you took it last year, we want you to take it again because we've grown so much. So make me look good to my bosses and take our survey. That's all for today here on CityCast Austin. You can find links to the stuff we talked about in our show notes. If you enjoyed the show, why not fill out our survey, tell your friends, rate our show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Austin newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye, y'all.